requires special skills and knowledge. This program will acquaint you with survival techniques for the hot land environment. 1/5 of the Earth's landmass is desert terrain. There are more than 80 named deserts on Earth, but we must not confine our perceptions of hot land environments only to desert terrain. Deserts are defined as those areas which receive less than 10 inches of rainfall per year. Deserts generally fall into one of 3 categories: sand, rock, or salt. A desert may be a combination of any or all of these. But a hot land area does not necessarily mean a desert area. A hot land environment can exist wherever there is excessively high temperature with little or no water available. When North America was being settled, the plains and high plains areas west of the Mississippi River were referred to as the Great American Desert. Although there are plenty of waterways and there is precipitation in this vast area most of the year, the summer months are quite arid. This condition creates a hot land environment during those months. When flying over this type of terrain, pilots must be adequately prepared to survive in the event of a forced landing or accident. Let's begin by looking at the topographical surroundings you'll encounter if you find yourself in a hot land survival situation. The characteristics of a hot land terrain can vary greatly from one environment to another. Generally, you'll be surrounded by low brush, cacti, and succulents, sandy and rocky surfaces, and little water. There may be hills or mountains in the area. Foliage, animal life, and water are likely to be limited. Shelter will be your main concern, as exposure to the sun will greatly increase the onset of hyperthermia. Hyperthermia is a condition in which the body reaches a dangerously high temperature. Because of this danger, priorities must be established, and a plan of action must be formulated. Trying to survive without a plan of action predisposes you to injury and excessive loss of body fluids. The greatest threat you will face in a hot land survival situation is heat. Retaining your body fluids should be your top priority. Losing too much of your body fluids can lead to dehydration. Here are some key survival tips for conserving body fluids. Never ration your water. People have been found dead with water still in their canteens. Always drink as much as you can at one time. You must conserve your sweat, not your water. Limit your activities during the hot hours of the day to reduce fluid loss. Even limited activities can cause a rise in body core temperature. If body heat is not reduced, it can cause vital organs to shut down, eventually resulting in death. Let's look at the cooling mechanism of the body and how it regulates body temperature. The primary cooling system of the body is the circulatory system. It acts very much the same as the cooling system of the engine in your automobile. Your metabolism has the function of burning fuel or nutrients and oxygen within your cells, which creates heat, much the same as the combustion inside your car's engine. Your blood absorbs this heat, as does the water in your car's engine, and is pumped to the tissues of the skin and lungs. This stimulates the sweat glands to release moisture at the skin surface where it evaporates. This process draws heat from the blood, which of course cools it. Heat is also released from the lungs through exhaled water vapor. This action is termed transpiration. If the quantity of fluids in the skin is reduced to the point that perspiration stops, the cooling system will cease functioning. This is similar to the way your car engine overheats and shuts down if its cooling system runs dry. If you do not replenish your fluids in sufficient quantity, fluid loss may exceed fluid intake. This is why rationing, in essence, just wastes the water you drink. The rule to remember is, conserve your sweat, not your water. Now let's discuss the stages and physiological problems associated with hyperthermia. It's important to recognize these symptoms and know how to treat them. Hyperthermia can manifest itself in the form of heat cramps or heat exhaustion and may eventually lead to heat stroke. The first stage of hyperthermia is heat cramps. Heat cramps are painful, involuntary spasms of the major muscles used in intense exercise. Heat cramps are common in hot weather and are believed to be caused by excessive water and sodium loss through sweating. The recommended treatment for cramps is drinking a saline solution of 1 teaspoon of salt in 1 liter of water. Prevention of heat cramps is best done by maintaining adequate hydration and salt intake. The next stage is heat exhaustion. It is a precursor to heat stroke. As with heat cramps, heat exhaustion is caused by excessive fluid loss. Heat exhaustion is characterized by profuse sweating, elevated temperature, fatigue, hyperventilation, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Your mental abilities and judgment may also be impaired. Heat exhaustion is easily treated by drinking plenty of fluids. External cooling is helpful too. Ice packs may be safely used. The final stage of hyperthermia is heat stroke. Heat stroke occurs when the body heat loss mechanisms are insufficient to meet environmental demands. Heat stroke is characterized by hot, dry skin, body core temperature greater than 106 degrees Fahrenheit, irritability, confusion, difficulty concentrating, headache, cold chills, and can progress to coma. A common misconception is that sweating always ceases when one is suffering heat stroke. Although this usually occurs, profuse sweating may be experienced, as with heat exhaustion. Therefore, it is imperative that the body core temperature be reduced to 102 degrees Fahrenheit as rapidly as possible. This reduction can be accomplished by placing the victim in a shaded area, applying ice packs or wet cloths, and exposing the victim to breezes or fanning to accelerate evaporation. As with any heat stress, rapid fluid replacement is crucial. There are several factors that can influence heat loss or dissipation: physical condition, age, and most importantly, shelter. Physical condition and weight can affect heat tolerance. Overweight people are less heat tolerant than others. It is not apparent whether the excess weight or lack of physical conditioning is the problem. Fat is an insulator, so it decreases heat loss to the environment. Lack of conditioning may cause the overweight person to lack the good circulation necessary for effective cooling. Age is another factor that may influence heat loss. Elderly people and children are at a higher risk when exposed to excessive heat. A possible cause for a lower heat tolerance in older people is the reduction in sweat production. Heat intolerance in children may be due to several factors: their greater surface area to mass ratio, reduced sweat production, and higher metabolic rates. In a survival situation, think about physical condition and weight, elderly people and children if aboard the aircraft. Another very important factor in preventing heat stress is shelter. Your first source of shelter is clothing. In a hot land environment, remove garments that impair heat loss from your body. Wear enough clothing to protect yourself from the harmful rays of the sun. When dressing for a hot land environment, use the following guidelines. Keep clothing baggy and layered. This helps to insulate you from the hot environment. Wear light-colored clothing. It reflects direct sunlight away from the body. Keep all areas of the body covered and protected, especially the head and the back of the neck. Keep clothing on. Never pull clothing completely off to cool yourself. Remove layers or make clothing more baggy as needed. Sheltering yourself from the elements should be a top priority. It is critical in any survival situation that you protect yourself from environmental extremes. Exposure is the main cause of death in a survival situation. Even if you or others are injured, it is critical that you find immediate protection from the extremes of the environment. Shelter in the desert or any open area will be limited. Your best protection may be provided by the aircraft. It is also important that you stay within the vicinity of the aircraft, as search and rescue personnel will be looking for an aircraft, not an individual. If the aircraft is not suitable, trees and brush can provide shade from the sun. Temperature extremes can be experienced in the desert or plains environments. Daytime temperatures can exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, while nighttime temperatures can dip into the lower 30s. This can cause you to go from heat exposure to cold exposure in the same day. For this reason, you must be prepared to protect yourself from both extremes. Reflective shelters, such as a space blanket, are ideal in a hotland environment. A space blanket is made of a flexible material that will help you retain body heat, or if reversed, reflect heat, and it can also be used as a signaling device. Rock overhangs or caves also serve as good protection. Such shelter can protect you from the harmful rays of the sun, as well as the high, dry winds that are common in open spaces. By raising your body 8 to 10 inches off the ground, you create a dead airspace which can reduce the temperature by 20 degrees. You can achieve this same effect by digging a depression a foot or more deep in the ground. Any effort you make to reduce the temperature to which you are being exposed can aid you in keeping your body's core temperature close to normal. However, never establish a survival site in a dry creek bed, arroyo, or riverbed, as torrential rains can occur suddenly. Rain runoff can cause flash flooding, leaving you with no escape route. Try to locate an area on high ground. This will generally be cooler, safer, and make your campsite more visible. This can aid searchers both from the air and from the ground. Locating water is another top priority and may prove to be a life-saving endeavor. With limited or no activity, and with the temperature at 120 degrees or more, you may survive for only 2 or 3 days without water. You can carry small foil packets of water in your personal survival kit. This can help sustain you until you are able to find water. Although water will be scarce, it can be found by using various methods. Finding surface water can be difficult, but if you look in rock depressions, you may find water that has pooled. This may be brackish, but may be your only source. Morning dew in grassy areas may also provide sufficient water. It can be collected by tying absorbent cloth around your ankles and walking through the moisture-laden foliage. The water absorbed by the cloth can then be wrung out and consumed. Water may also be found in dry washes and riverbeds by digging in depressed areas or in outer banks of bends in the riverbed. One of the best methods of obtaining water is by using a transpiration bag. A transpiration bag can be constructed by placing a large plastic bag, such as a lawn or leaf bag, over the branch of a tree or bush. Heat from the sun will cause moisture to be drawn from the foliage on the branch. This moisture will condense on the inner surface of the bag during the cool hours of the night. The amount of water obtained will depend on the density of the foliage. Up to 2 gallons of water per day for 3 days can be collected from the same branch. Bushes or deciduous and coniferous trees will all produce palatable water in sufficient amounts to sustain life. Cactus will provide water in amounts sufficient enough to sustain life in a dry land situation. Contrary to popular belief, cacti will not yield flowing water. Moisture must be sucked from the meat of the plant. However, an exceptional amount of fluid is held within cactus plants. There are many varieties of cacti. Those producing the greatest amounts of moisture for consumption are the saguaro, beryl, and prickly pear. These are also the most prolific. The meat of the cactus can provide some nutritional value if eaten. Regardless of its source, water should always be purified. Mountain streams may appear crystal clear, but can contain pathogens and other unseen contaminants. Regard all water as being contaminated. There are several ways to purify water. Filtering water through a piece of cloth is called clarification and is not effective in removing bacteria, chemicals, parasites, or other contaminants. This process merely removes particulates from the water. Purification tablets work well, but be aware that some products have a limited shelf life. To be effective, tablets must be used before their expiration date. Iodine drops or chlorine work just as well and do not lose their potency. 2 drops per quart will purify the water. The best way to purify water is by boiling it. Boiling water for 2 minutes destroys any viruses, bacteria, or pathogens in the water. Pouring water back and forth between 2 clean containers restores its palatability. Charcoal filtration with a filter pump is another effective method of purifying water. There are several quality filter pumps on the market. Just remember, the pump's size should be compatible with the size of your survival kit. It's imperative that you keep your body hydrated in a hot land survival situation. So be aware that water is available from many sources if you know where and how to find it. More importantly, know how to make it safe to drink. Food is not a matter of immediate priority. The average adult can live up to 5 weeks without food. Actually, it is best to refrain from eating unless you have sufficient water to accompany it. It takes a great amount of fluid to aid the digestion of food. So unless water is available, you should not consume food in any form. Proteins require more fluid for digestion by the body than do carbohydrates. So refrain from eating those foods high in protein, such as meats and beans. Carbohydrates provide complex sugars and starches, which the body utilizes as long-term energy-producing nutrients. When assembling your personal survival kit, it is advisable to put nutritional bars or dried fruit in the kit. The body can utilize carbohydrates over the long term with a minimum fluid loss. Encountering venomous animals such as snakes, scorpions, or spiders in desert or hotland environments is another matter of concern. Keep in mind, however, that they probably want to avoid you as much as you want to avoid them. Most encounters that result in bites or stings are the result of carelessness on the part of humans. Animals bite or sting humans as a matter of defense. They are generally not aggressive. One of the greatest concerns in hot, dry regions is the rattlesnake. There are 72 varieties of rattlesnakes in the world. Rattlers that you might encounter in the United States are the western diamondback, prairie, Mojave, and Sonoran sidewinder, and banded rock varieties. The snake remains inactive during the day and hangs out in cool, shaded areas, usually under rocks, logs, or brush, and they hunt by night. Since they are cold-blooded animals, their body temperature is regulated by their environment. At night, as the air cools, they expose themselves to the warm ground to raise their body temperature. You should use extreme caution when looking under or picking up rocks or logs. If you are bitten by a rattlesnake, try to remain as calm as possible. Deaths resulting from a rattlesnake bite are rare. Rattlesnakes inject a hemotoxin when they bite. Even though there isn't enough venom to kill a healthy adult, the bite may cause you to feel very ill. Additionally, the venom has a necrotizing effect that will break down or liquefy all tissue it comes in contact with. This will cause the bite area to swell and eventually cause an open wound that is very prone to infection. Placing a constricting bandage between the bite area and the heart will generally slow the spread of venom. Ice packs tend to concentrate the venom at the bite area. The use of snakebite kits is discouraged, as the potential for infection is greatly increased. Another common snake found in hotland environments is the coral snake. These snakes are brightly colored, usually red, black, and yellow, and are highly poisonous. Their venom delivery system is poor, but contrary to popular belief, coral snakes do not have to chew in order to inflict their venom. They are nocturnal and are rarely seen during the day. As with rattlesnakes, coral snakes generally spend the hot hours of the day under rocks, so always use extreme caution when picking up or moving rocks. Spiders, especially tarantulas, seem to create a sense of fear in people. Most stories of tarantula bites are either myth or greatly inflated. The tarantula is not an aggressive spider. Quite the contrary, tarantulas are docile. Their bites are not considered harmful to humans. Scorpions are found mostly in the desert. Careful inspection of clothing, footwear, and bedding should prevent a sting. The sting itself will bring about no complications and should be treated like a wasp or bee sting. Aggravating any animal will usually result in its defending itself. Give all venomous animals respectful distance. Survival in the desert, although extremely stressful, can be endured if you adapt yourself to your environment. Your chances of survival are greatly improved if you minimize your activities, conserve your energy by working only during the cool hours of the day, and maintain and retain your body fluids. The desert is unforgiving of mistakes, and in many instances, a single mistake may be fatal. All hotland environments are extremely harsh, but they yield a wealth of plant and animal life. This, combined with a comprehensive personal survival kit, can greatly enhance your survival chances. Learning the various life forms, ways of procuring water, and methods of shelter construction should greatly minimize your survival stress. The goal is to come out alive. By learning hotland survival skills, you can increase your chances of being a survivor.
Hey guys, enjoying this 60-degree weather. Last week it was in the single digits and now it's 60, I think 64. But reason, what would you do right now if an EMP went off? You know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, you know, other countries are going to get mad at us because, you know, Trump's going to stop buying from them. Trump's going to make stuff in America to bring back jobs, which I hope he does. Yeah, I really do. But, you know, they say these other countries are going to get mad at the United States for that because that's going to hurt their economy, which they need to stop making cheap crap. But they can retaliate by, you know, hacking our power grid or sending a missile up over us and causing an EMP. And now the experts say if an EMP hit, you know, it just depends on the areas or something like that. I was listening to it last night. You know, we could be set back to the dark ages for a year or two, or could be longer. My question to you guys, if it was to hit right now, do you guys have everything you need to make it through? You know, it's middle of winter, and you know, if I was another country, right now would be the time I would do something like that, because it'd be the hardest time for people to survive in hitting in the middle of winter time. So if it was to happen, are you guys prepared enough for an EMP to hit? You know, or do you have everything you need? You know, or say you're at work, or you're out hunting, or you're out fishing, or you know, you're away from your house and it hits. How are you going to get home? Do you know the shortest distance to get home? Now I'm going to hear guys say, well, I'm going to put all my stuff in a Faraday cage. Well, if you don't know an EMP's happening, how are you going to put your stuff in the Faraday cage? You know, how are you going to communicate to find out if your mom or your dad or your brothers, your sisters, or like me, I got older kids moved away. Yeah, how are you going to find out if they're okay? You know, I've watched a lot of videos on this EMP, and you know, people say, well, I'm going to put my in this, and I'm going to put my stuff in a Faraday cage, and I'm going to have this and that. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. Nobody knows when it's going to hit. And going to do it when it hits it's going to be too late. So my question's to you guys, if it hit right this minute, would you be prepared? Would you have everything you needed? Could you get home without a vehicle? I mean, you know, I've been thinking about that. I say we would be pretty good. You know, there's a few things we don't have, or we don't have enough of, to, you know, just little things. You know, it just, you know, nothing, no major life-threatening, you know, things. But, I don't know. I say we would be pretty good for a while, but after the supply started running low or running out, you know, then we would have to start, you know, trying to figure out things. But as it stands right now, I'd say we'd probably be pretty good, you know, for a while, because we got plenty of garden seeds and stuff like that to start a garden in the springtime. You know, for canning, I would have to figure out something to do on an open fire for canning, and that's kind of dangerous, you know, especially with a pressure cooker. But I'd have to figure out something like that. I need to do some research on that, you know, how to can over an open fire. But you know, just stuff like that, people never think of. You know, I never thought about canning over an open fire until I started, you know, listening and thinking about, you know, these EMP attacks and stuff. You know, that's one obstacle I would have to overcome. You know, that way we'd have vegetables into the, you know, into the summer, I mean, into the fall and winter. You know, then like if you guys, you know, the coffee's going to run out. If you got coffee, and tea is going to run out. So you're going to have to figure out what plants you can use to make a tea. You know, you're like your honeysuckles and your dandelions and your rosebuds and stuff like that. But then you got to figure out how to dry them out, you know, how to process them, drying them out, then storing them so you can have that, you know, that for tea later on when your supplies run out. That's the thing. Then you're going to have to figure out how to process and keep meat. You know, there's a lot of people going to be digging rut cellars, and you know, the ones who's wanting to survive will be digging rut cellars and making smokehouse. But then you're going to be thinking, okay, I'm going to be doing all this, and people's going to see it that don't have it. Then you're going to have to worry about looters coming in, you know, robbing you and stuff like that. So there's a lot to think about, and people just don't realize it. You know, you're not going to get a warning. You know, everybody says, oh, if it happens, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're not going to have time to do this and do that. It's just going to be boom, it's on you. And you're not going to have time to run and put your stuff in a Faraday cage, or run to the store to get this or get that. So, you know, I was just wondering, kids dropped one of their things. How would you make it? Are you guys ready for it? You know, ready for it right now. I am ready as best as I can be. You know, I could probably do a lot more to get ready for something like that, which I should. But, I mean, to get ready for everything, that's a lot of work, you know, especially if you have families. You know, you got to work on paying the bills, you know, clothing them, feeding them. You know, you got other stuff on your plate as on top of preparing for stuff. And, you know, it takes time away from you preparing and money away from you getting stuff to, you know, buying up stuff to be prepared. But like I said, my question was, you know, if an EMP was to hit right now, you know, are you guys prepared enough? I mean, I think that would be one of the ultimate, that would be an ultimate SHTF, you know, because they would be nothing. No lights, no running water, no vehicles, you know, no way to get gas if you did have a EMP proof vehicle. You know, if you got gas saved back, you know, that's going to run out, but then you're also going to be becoming a target because people's going to see you driving and they're going to want your vehicle. That's another thing you got to think about. You know, everything you do is going to put a target on your back. But, you know, economic collapse, we could ride out, you know, a lot of us could ride out with no problems, you know. Riots and looting and stuff like that, you know, that's already went on and it didn't really affect a lot of us. But that right there, you know, EMP is the top of the top, you know. It would, that would be a game changer for a lot of us, I would say, you know, especially if it hit in the middle of wintertime, you know. In the spring and the summertime, I don't think it would affect us as bad. But if it hits right in the middle of the winter, yeah, it's going to be bad on a lot of people. Even the ones who's prepared, it's still going to be psychologically, it's going to mess with your mind bad. But just give it some thought and think about it. Then write a comment down below and tell me, you know, if you think you're 150% ready, or if you're slacking on a few things. Like, hey, I'm slacking on a few things, you know, but it's nothing life-threatening or major, you know, nothing like that. But, you know, if you're at work or you're out away from your family and it happened, do you have a way to get home? Do you know the quickest way to get home if you're having to run or walk to your family? Um, you know, how are you going to be able to check on people? How are you going to communicate with people? Because not everybody's going to have all their stuff in a Faraday cage constantly. You know, I know I can't afford to go out and buy all kinds of extra, you know, two-way radios and stuff just to set them back into a box and let them sit there for I don't know how long and nothing happened and not use them. You know, I can't afford it. I don't know if you guys can or not. But I hope this made sense. You know, I hope this video made sense and it got you thinking. Like, you know, as I'm doing this video, I'm thinking about stuff. Okay, do I have this? Do I have that? You know, could it really do this? Or, you know, I'm thinking even making this video on certain aspects of an EMP. But I want to do some more research on it as well. Watch some more videos and read some more on there. But just let me know. And I hope this video helped. Hope it got you thinking. Just let me know in the comments below. And until the next one, guys, everybody be safe. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy this 66-degree weather. All right, bye, guys.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. After looking at these pictures of the Oroville Dam after they stopped letting the water flow, all I can say is, oh my God, look at the damage. I have no idea how they're going to fix this. A size comparison. Here's some people, and there's the size of the hole. That's only part of it. These pictures really don't show how deep this crevice is, how deep into the bedrock this water has carved its path. How are they going to fix it? I don't know what kind of BS they're going to tell everybody. They're only able to shut it off for a few days. There's a helicopter for comparison. This crevice was carved all the way over to the right here and then all the way back down. Here's another one of the helicopter flying close to or over the hole for comparison. Need more proof of the damage? These little white dots are cars. Another image to show you the amount of damage. There's no way they can get this fixed within a few days. Cars. Look how deep it is. Look at that. Another image. This is a man on the hillside looking down into the hole. They're only going to close the spillway for 7 days. There is no way they can repair that in 7 days and start allowing more water to flow out. Alright, so we got cars right here. Comparison for size. Here's power lines that were disconnected. that goes to the hydroelectric plant, and they need to clear that out so they have another way to release water. They're not going to be able to fix that by dropping in bags of rocks. Not in 7 days. Probably not in a summer. The people that live there are probably thinking, oh my God, please send some angels. Yeah, what's the plan? What are they going to do? Put your thoughts and comments down below. Bookmark my site. I'll keep you up to date. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you all. Bye.
Hey everyone, taking a break from cutting these trees out, clearing and make the video. It's been on my mind for a while, and it's your mindset in a SHTF, World War III, economic collapse, natural disaster. You got to have the right mindset in order to make it through. Now, I've heard a lot of guys on here saying, oh, we're all slaves to the government. We don't have our own, we don't own our labor, we don't own our land, we don't. If you have that type of mindset, your life must really suck. I mean, I own my own business. I am my own man. And you're going to have that type of mindset to be your own person. If you have a crappy mindset, or nobody is going to want you around. If you doom and gloom, thinking, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong, we ain't never going to do this. Or perfect example, we need something to happen so it'll kill off the government and we'll come out better. If you're that type of mindset person, you got serious mental issues, because therefore you're wanting death and destruction. And there's going to be a lot of people die, a lot of little ones and babies starving to death, just so you can have your perfect world, which not going to be perfect. There's always going to be a government of some type. There's always going to be an authority figure. So you're going to have the right mindset. You're going to have a positive mindset. No matter how doom and gloom it is, you're going to have to look towards the littlest bright spot and carry hope. Hope is something that nobody can take away from you. Perfect examples. POWs, you know, they get captured and sometimes they stay in there for years upon years. And if you ask them their mindset, they would say, if I pulled one over on my, just a little thing, pulled one over on my captures, people who captured me, I got away with something, and that gave me hope. Meaning, like, for example, they stole a piece of bread when they wasn't allowed to have it, and they hid it. And after they got locked back up, they ate. They wasn't starving. That's a mindset of overcoming your situation. That's what you're going to have. If you're one of these guys that's got a mindset of, the way I think is the way it is, and everybody else's opinion's wrong, you're going to be one of the first ones to die. You're going to be one of the first ones to get killed. Or if you're in a group, that group is going to get tired of your attitude, and two things are going to happen. They're going to kick you out, or they're going to put a bullet in your head while you sleep, because nobody wants somebody like that in their group with a shitty mindset. You got to have a positive mindset. Any ray of hope. Say you had to bug out to the woods, or you're on a farm. That's where that's your bug out location's a farm. You've ate all your livestock. You're in a drought where you can't plant nothing, and you go out and you find some hickory nuts or some walnuts, or you kill a rabbit or a squirrel or something like that, and you bring it back. That mindset is going to give people hope. Like, we're hungry, but look what we've got. We can do it. But like I said, if you're one of these people with a negative attitude and think you're a slave to the government, you're going to be a slave the rest of your life, no matter what happens, because you've already got that mindset. And there's no hope for you. There's no hope whatsoever. But no matter what the situation is, no matter how bad the situation is, have the mindset of having hope, looking for the good in the situation, no matter what it is. If you keep somewhat of a positive attitude, other people is going to pick up on that, and they're going to think, man, he's got a positive attitude. Yes, we can do this, and we're going to do this. And the next thing you know, you've turned everything around, and you're eating better. Your crops, you planted crops, and they're coming up. You're trading and bartering, and you're getting livestock to replenish your farm. I'm using the farm as the bug out location example. But if you just have that, oh, we're a slave, this ain't going to work, or that ain't going to work. Oh, don't listen to this person because he has hope. Man, you're in deep shit. I feel for you and your family, because you're not going to make it. You got to have positive mindset. If you go to your pantry and say 3 months after an economic collapse, and you've got 1 can of tomato soup and 1 can of corn and a box of macaroni and cheese, at least you got food for that day. You can feed you and your family on that. But if you had the right mindset, you wouldn't be in that situation, because you would be out hunting or fishing or trapping, and you would learn how to preserve the food that you get so it don't go bad, and you'll have food where you don't have to get into your supply so much. And or you should have the mindset of having stuff set back so you can barter to get food or to get ways of getting food. I hope I'm getting my point across. If you have a negative mindset and think you're a slave to the government today, you're going to have that same mindset no matter who you're with, where you go, if something does happen. And you're not going to make it. I don't care who you think you are, what you think you are, how smart you think you are. You're not going to make it. Absolutely not. But that's my opinion on it. You're going to have a positive mindset no matter what or who comes at you or throws at you. Look for the little things in life. No matter if you're, whatever is thrown at you. You're camping and it's a thunderstorm for 3 days and you're sitting soaking wet in mud, and you look up and there's a little speck of sunlight coming through those thunderstorm clouds. You got hope. You got hope, like it's going to stop raining. We're going to dry out. You know, you got to keep that type of mindset. Again, if you think you're a slave today to the government, to the world, you're going to be a slave until they put you in the ground. That type of mindset, it's no good for nobody to be around. If you're that type of person, you just need to, if something does happen, just go off somewhere and be by yourself, because nobody, there's an old saying, a Debbie Downer. Nobody wants a Debbie Downer around them. So, I hope this makes sense, and I'm going to get back to work, and I've got another video in mind that I'll probably do after lunch, and I'll download these later on. But remember, guys, my when I reach 100 subscribers, I'm going to be giving a giveaway. So just, you know, get the word out and everything, and to everyone who has subscribed, I really appreciate it. And all the good comments I've been getting, I'm glad I'm helping people out. And I want everybody to be safe and keep preparing. Even the guys out there who's negative, who's a slave to the world, when you watch my channel, you're not a slave. You got a little freedom. So anyway, guys, you have a safe one, and bye.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. Here's an update what's going on at Yellowstone. Haven't done one for a while. There was a quake earlier today along the Snake River Plateau. It was a 1.0, 8.2 kilometers in depth. On the 25th there was a 1.7 earthquake. It was 12.3 kilometers in depth. There was also a 1.2, that was 5.5 kilometers in depth. Also a 2.0, now that was on the 24th. It was 5.1 kilometers in depth. And then some smaller ones, all in the same location of Old Faithful. There was a 1.0, 3.8 kilometers in depth. And way up north, a 1.6, 2 kilometers in depth. Also a 0.3. Who knows how many years it's going to take for Yellowstone to recharge, and it is recharging for the next eruption. This here is the Madison River spectrogram. You can see harmonic tremors. This is ancient helium and methane. This is sulfur dioxide. You can see the melt is rising. And the tilt meter for the Madison River area is no longer available for the public. They used to have it, but it's been removed. Here it goes all the way back to 2011. The gas charts for Yellowstone Lake. You notice those that follow my different blogs that I put on this, that the melt is rising. And it is an area that's heating up. The magma is rising closer to the surface. And Yellowstone Lake is the center of the caldera. The tilt meter for Yellowstone Lake, you can see it's going up in one direction, going down in another. I've talked about that before. In the northeast section of the lake, it's going down. But if you look at this chart going back for an entire month, the whole area is slowly sinking. Not a good sign. Where it's rising is near, like I said, the southeast. There's a bulge growing there. And this is Grant, and that's close to the location. Late last night, Universal Time, you can see there's harmonic tremors going on. And here's the tilt meter for the Grant area. This is what I'm saying. This is where the bulge is slowly rising up. And this is the chart going back 7 days, and we come down here, and this is it for 30 days. And going back to 2009, somewhere around 2012, they reset their machine. Here we have Norris Junction. Now this is close to the area where past eruptions have occurred. And this is probably an area where it'll start again when it decides to go. Ancient helium and methane, sulfur dioxide. And this is all the mixture of all the materials together. And you can see it's slowly rising, going up and down. It's breathing. The ground is breathing over there. This goes back 7 days. And this chart goes back 30 days. Going back to 2014, you can see there was a spike between October and November of last year. Here we have the water temperatures. Now this is Cache Creek near Jackson, Wyoming. It was fluctuating a while. The highest point, it looks like it was on the 18th, went down, and now it's going back up again. Tantalus Creek at Norris Junction. Now this goes back until the 6th. Again, you can see there was a spike prior to the 18th. This one was on the 14th, went down, and now it's rising again. Firehole River near West Yellowstone, and Firehole River at Old Faithful. This spike was probably around the 16th. There was another spike about the 22nd, and that's what it's showing today. Boiling River at Mammoth. Now you can see there's been some activity the last 3 days. Here's the monitor for Yellowstone Lake. Yeah, lots of harmonic tremors. A blob of magma coming in. Like I said, it's continuing to do what it's doing, and who knows how long it's going to take to recharge. Showing the same activity at Grant Village. And Moose Creek started showing some stuff, but looks like they messed with the machine and turned it down so the earthquakes and other stuff doesn't show up. Now here we have Helena Valley. You can see magma coming in, the up and down wavy lines there, and there. Settled down a little bit in the last hour. Snow King showing the same activity. There's a small quake there. Thickening of the lines. Flag Ranch, Wyoming, we have a quake there, and they know there's one there. They have it marked. Log Hollow. Yeah, that's where they removed the data for some reason. But there's that quake. Just after 2136 Universal Time, or about 206 Mountain Time. And here you can see it's not being reported, but we're used to that, right? We know they don't report all the quakes. Indian Meadow. Holmes Hill. There's the earthquake right there. We got another one right there. Sharp popping of the rock as the uplift continues. This here is the borehole for Yellowstone Lake. There's the earthquake, and you see there was magma coming in before the earthquake occurred. And the borehole for Grant. We can see the earthquake, and then there was one within, the last 20 minutes. You can see across the sidewalk here in the front, down here at the bottom of the image, the melt continues despite how cold it is, and it's snowing there. Well, put your thoughts and comments down below. Bookmark my site. I'll keep you up to date. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.